Welcome to the Wizard and Oz podcast. I'm joined by Tristan, retired graffiti artist, aspiring Cyclone survivor, and a different animal, and the same beast. Alongside
And a
him,
tempo.
all together.
alongside him is Oz, who is a retiring chairman of the Harlem GOP, military-grade Trump supporter, and recreational fracker. I'm Lachlan, I'm the host. I'm an unlicensed plumber, and I will do any work for cash. Please feel free to reach out if you have any work that you need done. Thanks for...
His March discount code is kangaroo, so you can use that code for 5% off of any service.
Now, before we get lost in politics, in case my Wi-Fi cuts out before I can ask, Oz, what common Airbnb kitchen materials can be used to fashion a weapon to hunt bush turkeys with?
Well, you could use a potato masher to as kind of the base holder, and then what you want to do is go through the knife drawer, get a bunch of knives, a little bit of that duct tape them together, and then use a wooden spoon to beat them out of the bush, and that should work for you. He's pondering. He's sitting there seriously thinking, like, wait, that would work.
Purely because of my dexterity and speed. I'm glad you factored in some way, world-class engineer.
People don't expect hillbilly technology, but I did grow up outside of Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Using enough performance-enhancing drugs to be a functional cornerback with complex regional pain syndrome is kind of my thing.
It kind of is your jam.
Now, it is. It really is. It's been a long time. I've done some interesting things to survive, and we'll see if I get through this cyclone.
I think you will.
Is the plot armor thick enough?
I don't know if you really want to do what you're going to do, which is go outside and dance underneath the tree, but there are your traditions that need to be respected here. So,
Oz, that's because your people's greatest natural stand doesn't mean you have a right to mock me when I have a marginal chance of survival.
that's true.
No,
Have you tried tying yourself down to something? Like maybe using a heavy
the
log.
Commonwealth failed at that. No, the Commonwealth failed at that, and they were far more well-resourced than I am right now.
So, given the context of a cyclone, I think it's worth talking about. There's a lot going on in the news. And Zelensky visited the...
You got a cyclone around the world because of that guy.
Yeah. So, Oz, I'd love to get yours, and then Tristan, yours as well, opinions about Zelensky and that whole interaction. What were your sort of thoughts on the back of that?
So, here's my takedown of it. I mean, the first thing is
Republican, there wouldn't be a cyclone if you gave him more money.
There wouldn't be a cyclone if y'all paid your HARP fees to the EU, but there you are.
I'm trying to, Oz. I'm trying to. And like any member of the Commonwealth, I'm doing everything I can to get you minerals from Africa. Now, give me a minute.
Don't we have iron ore we need to get out of your country?
Yes, but like that I'm still behind on my HARP subscription payment. Clearly. Now, it was really nice of you guys to aim a cyclone at the northeast of Australia when China's aircraft.
What you mean when they're running military? So look, let me lay this one out for you. All right, we got a new era of diplomacy. Trump went and said, hey, why don't we just move all these people out of Gaza? And all of a sudden, the Arab League comes back with a $53 billion rebuilding package and structural planning. What we have to get to over there is a simple understanding of, like, listen, the Likudniks allowed a friggin' vote in 2008. They were like, well, Fatah sucks, so we're going to vote in Hamas. And then, like, right before October 7th, like 2 years, Fatah had quit. So these people are, like, poorly governed to begin with. But that's all they know. This is like going into any third world country where like your options are bad or worse in terms of the political parties. And now we've got all of the carnage of October 7th. You got the ongoing carnage of the war, and you got this perspective that he's shifting politics over there, right? And then you look to what's going on with the Ukraine, same thing. With the Ukraine, it comes down to something real simple. We put a lot of money into that war, okay? And people are going to sit there and have this argument, and they're going to be like, well, like we told them that if they gave up their nukes, like they'd never have to do this. And the problem is that you've had ongoing aggression in between these two countries, between Russia and the Ukraine, back and forth, back and forth. Started out with the Ukrainians treating the indigenous Russians, who kind of got partitioned when that country was created in the 90s, really like shit. And then, we've got the closure of churches. You got all this other stuff that's going on. I'm not going to speak to the whole fascism thing, but it's like, if you're going to limit elections, and I understand you're in a war, we get all this, okay? But then you're going after political parties, you're doing all these things, and we're like, look, if you're supposed to be the great savior of democracy in the West, well, then you better do some fucking great saving and some great democracy, and you're not doing either. So he told them to put up or shut up. Do you understand? Some of this is old school gunboat diplomacy, but at the same time, it's the art of the deal, and he's getting this shit done. Homeboy went to Europe and he's like, I need billions and billions. And Keir Starmer's like, we need to put billions together. And the fucking Germans are still training with wooden weapons. Okay, so now they're talking $150 billion for the Ukraine. Cool. That's a third of what we put in 2 years. Okay, so help me understand how that's going to work. Y'all going to take debt out from the IMF, who you don't like in the first place because you only use it in black countries, so you can tell them they didn't pay their bill. That's where we are with this. And he came back to the table. He's willing to sign the mineral deal. I think we'll get to a peace. But the problem is that we live in this rarefied era where no one's trying to look at politics in the tone of diplomacy, because we haven't had diplomacy for a long time. Obama went in there and was trying to force in corporations to start doing diplomacy on behalf of the State Department. Hillary went and just fucking destroyed Libya and a bunch of other countries, right? So if we have this mistrust that has been built by,
does she have any reasons for these things, or does she just do it once a month?
I mean, sometimes I think it was kind of like her spring coup. She'd be like, I think we need to destabilize the Muslim country again, but we care about them. And and it's just, we have this history of bad leadership he's trying to clean up, and this happens cyclically. Like if you go hundreds and hundreds of years back, okay, in America, you go back to our founding, which we're almost at the 250th year, 2026. You see that we go through these periods of horrible foreign policy and good foreign policy. And what we're getting into is somewhere that's in between the late 1800s of gunboat diplomacy and the art of the deal, which was really Henry Kissinger in the 70s. But no one remembers that far back because we live in this social media idiom where everyone can't even remember what happened 6 months ago. And people don't want to be held accountable for things they said, but now everything's on social media, So I think, honestly, where we are is we're going to get a deal done, but it had to be done this way because it wasn't going to happen any other way. And I think a lot of the other things that you're seeing with military stand downs and whatnot, look, there's a bigger game afoot. And if people can sit there on their couch not knowing anything about electeds or how the sausage is made or how difficult this is or how sometimes things have to get into committee before they hit the floor and voted on, that could take cycles. I mean, I've had legislation in Rhode Island we put in 2018. It didn't become partial law until 2022. And this is for blockchain, right? And the frameworks weren't there until much later. And that was just me helping the Republican Party out and the Democrat Party in a bipartisan way because we need this crypto legislation. But you start looking at all these foreign policy things, and everyone wants to armchair quarterback it in 5-minute increments when you got to play the long game here. And that's what he's doing. He's setting us up for some stability or build of stability because Europe can't be sucking off our teeth anymore. They've been doing it since 1948. We've had fucking so much money poured into Germany and stuff that comes out through scientific partnerships that go back 50 fucking years, and then you look at France and you look at England, we're doing the same thing. And then we've got bilateral involvement because they have so much investment into corporations in this country. I mean, there's ways that this will work forward, but it can't be business as usual, which is like, all right, well, y'all are small little motherfuckers, so you tax us whatever you want, but we're not going to do that. And the same thing with China. The currency's pegged, and we've been giving them special country status for how long? And I mean, it's like they don't need most favored nation anymore. And they definitely need to be playing fair with us because they block half of our social, they block half of our companies. You go over there, you can get spyware on your phone. You don't do that shit to their people when they come here. And, then you got the Chinese police stations over here. You got all this weird espionage they're doing, which isn't as cool as the show The Americans. It's a little clumsier, And, just so fucking clumsy. And then you got what's going on with y'all. Okay, so fucking China's doing military exercises off the Australian coast, and you got to mobilize your navy, and you got to mobilize your air force, and it's the same thing that happened. You got to mobilize those 3 planes you have.
Oh, what?
Do we have those submarines yet?
Huh? Well, y'all bought like 2 classes back, and I think. At least he didn't buy whiskey class. Jesus Christ, I couldn't even imagine that.
I'm not mistaken. The point of having a nuclear submarine that can defend against aircraft carriers is to use it, if I'm not correct.
Well, you got to remember something. They're just running maneuvers. They have purported acceptability based upon claims of ownership over international waters, right? That's what they're doing with y'all, but, they're going well within your range. They did the same thing in South America.
Honestly, I agree with them. I personally have never assaulted anyone. I have simply done maneuvers.
That's what most people would say. It's like, no, these are just maneuvers. I never punched you in the face. I was just doing maneuvers.
Yeah, no, I didn't. No, I never touched that child. I was simply doing maneuvers.
I maneuvered the fucking stick into his face, fucking touching children.
Oh man,
fuckers.
Yeah, I've definitely done a few maneuvers on pedophiles, and I gotta say, it's a great time.
What, beating up pedophiles?
Maneuvers.
Oh, I thought that was a sport in your country.
Yes, practicing on pedophiles is in fact my favorite ball sport.
Oh God.
It is a sport, allegedly.
Allegedly. All right,
you
moving
have to
right
say
along.
Allegedly.
Alleged maneuvers never occurred.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. No.
But yo, dude, that's what I think about the Zelensky situation. I think it's going to get sorted out, but we got a lot of hard diplomacy. You know that motherfucker left us with 17 wars, including the Ukraine and Gaza. 17 fucking conflicts that have to be sorted out.
I think people need to understand that this is what happens when short people are allowed power.
How tall is Zelensky?
Are you talking about Hunter Biden running the White House for a couple of months? They're like, "Oh, sorry, we didn't mean to tell you this. He wasn't really competent."
The internet says Zelensky's 5'7".
Hunter Biden was not doing any drugs. He was simply doing crack maneuvers.
No, he was a crack shot.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Wow. That's awesome. Now,
also, I think he's the same guy that thinks leaving cocaine in your dad's house is called attaché.
No, that's once again a compliance maneuver.
Was that compliance testing or compliance fraud?
Compliance liberation.
It was an aromatherapy maneuver.
Such a compliant young man.
Listen, all I do is navigate compliance.
So
content that is consistent and compliant across continents.
I do the same thing, except I navigate complaints. It's a little different. It can be complicated at times for me. Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah.
Oh God, I navigate companies that drive themselves into a wall and then turned around.
Tristan, what's your take? What's your take on the Zelensky thing? The situation
I
there.
think it's about time Ukraine made Bitcoin their reserve currency.
I don't know. El Salvador's not doing so hot with that right now. But I also think it's because you had to push mass adoption. They're like, you can use it everywhere. And you have people who are like, gay? You know?
Well, look, without a failing democracy propped up by two different continents to the tune of 300 billion plus, it's quite likely that it could do good things for Bitcoin if that failed state had an easier compliance navigation mechanism for the inevitable.
Oh, I concur with you, but you're going to have to get bank management of adoption. We don't trust them or their banks or his wife's $4.6 million Bugatti, which I think just got delivered.
What we should give Zelensky is a real life replica of the banks in the Harry Potter universe, and a really cute suit for him, so that he can navigate compliance on behalf of the Bitcoin Bank of the former Republic of Ukraine.
I actually have the perfect.
Okay,
thing
but
for that
someone's still going to have to manage back to compliance. Someone's going to have to manage that. And honestly, here's what I think it's going to take. It's going to have to be just as easy as using Apple Pay, not wallets, and that's how you get them. So you need bank custody, and you don't trust their banks yet. You'd have to put them in receivership. And I don't think we want to be administering a Ukraine for a hot minute. Yeah. But then again, I don't know. We got to rebuild their infrastructure, so we'll see what happens.
Well, look, not all men would dare go to the White House and Trump in their pajamas, but it seems like Zelensky has the minerals.
Go in your pajamas and call a motherfucker a bitch under your breath on a hot mic in fucking Ukrainian? Get the fuck out of here. I mean, we all know J.D. Vance is a hoopy, okay? But you don't have to call him a bitch in front of fucking all the world.
Look,
I get it. You like rednecks more.
Fundraising operation was excessively violent. I really don't think it's necessary for a man of his stature to,
Mm-hmm. The stature thing. The stature thing's kind of playing out. I will tell you that a man of his stature should know better than to come in his pajamas. You know what he is? He's our little Upper East Side daughter who went out to the Hamptons and wants to hang out with her Trustafarian friends and throw crazy parties where shit blows up all the time. And we have to send our fucking PR maven from the Upper West Side down there to go and clean up her shit all the time. And we're constantly spending money. And she set the house that she rented on fire. And then she blow up the other house. And then Long Island tried to secede again. That's what we're dealing with here. Maybe I don't know if that's going to resonate with everybody.
No, look, the first thing I do when I need to change my tire is take a flight and ask my dad to do it.
No, the first thing I do is I say, okay, Dad, I'm going to your agreement. No, Dad, I'm not going to your agreement. So twice he rebuked this thing, but then they demanded a visit. So he shows up and not even just respectful decorum. I mean, look, all the Dems are like, they said thank you many times. Well, you haven't met this motherfucker. This motherfucker's new. So say thank you to the new dude. Okay, fucking make it nicey nice. But no, he's acting like, you owe us. We're saving democracy. I'm like, how are you saving democracy with conscription? Please explain that to me. You have friggin' grandmas on the front line flying drones. How safe is that?
The best way to save democracy is to pause it for later. I've definitely learned that from the tolerant left. They seem very tolerant of democracy pauses, I love the narrative that he's fighting. He's fighting.
It's weird because the tolerant left or like liberalism as it has been over the course of the past 16 years, right, since John Kerry, well, a little longer, since John Kerry ran for office. I mean, 20 years. It's gone into two strange things. It's gone into super postmodernism, okay? Because it used to be simulacras. It's like, oh, okay, well, your people look like this. So I'm gonna explain to you how you are because that's my perception, right? That was like 70s, 80s, 90s. But in the OOs, it started becoming like, I'm gonna create my own identity for you and me, and I'm gonna tell you how it is, and your culture and your religion, and none of this matters anymore. And then on the opposite side of it, there's all this globalist stuff. They're like, there's too many people. So what is their strategy? It's not good animal husbandry. It's not carbon reduction through natural methods. It's not investing in clean nuclear and getting green the way that's right with oxygen pyrolysis. And you and I talk about this at length on like the
Clearly
old
wrong
podcasts,
I'm
right?
doing it. Yeah, it's clearly wrong because I'm doing it.
It's none of this shit. It's all it is like, we will have them eat bugs. We will reduce their meat supply. They will all be vegan and they won't own anything. And I was like, what part of like George Orwell or Yevgeny Zemanyatin's fucking books are you sitting and trying to shove down our goddamn throats? That's what it's become. It's so weird. It's like this bad Star Trek policy from like an episode you didn't like.
Yeah.
You're like, all those people were dicks. In a world of dicks, we have the policy for you. It's endorsed by Ursula von Leyen, and you would enjoy the bugs. Enjoy your 2 outfits. Everyone can look like Zelensky because everyone will do Zumba. What? I don't want to do Zumba. That's where we draw the line. Zumba.
Everything's fine until we get to that.
That's how you lost the left, men on the left. They're willing to do everything. I'm a feminist. I support you. Okay, dudes can menstruate. Zumba, fuck this.
It's a relatable experience. You're talking directly to my heart now.
Because it was Zumba for everyone. It wasn't necessarily that, but it was always like, because they just started the problem with liberal women is they're just habitual line steppers. Like, they're not, some of them are racist, right? Okay, a lot of them are racist, but because I'm on the receiving end a lot.
All of them are racist.
How dare you think that? Don't you know that I am telling you, because I'm uneducated in your religion, your culture, your ethnic background, that he's a racist because I said so. And by the way, you can't use that name. You've been calling yourself colored for such a long time because we find it ethnically offensive. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much. It's too much. It's like, it's this giant censorship circle.
That Maori were the only indigenous folk without a skill issue.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you poor tortured minority. I'm like, dude, we won, okay? Don't judge me because of how many of my cousins lost the war against KFC and instant finance and the introduction of alcohol. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm still winning. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, I'm indigenous, and I'm going to talk about how I have physically superior genetics. Does it make you uncomfortable?
By the way, have you told people about the new product you're launching?
Oh,
it's the exercise program for non-indigenous people, but it's made by indigenous people. The indigenous.
The indigenous.
Yes. This exercise program, it's a public health program, right? It's aimed at attacking widespread obesity, UK. And what it is you do is you sell muskets to superior warriors and then arrogantly fight them drunk with muskets.
Why are you talking about what the British did to the Arabs? Okay, it sucks.
Look,
sucks so bad.
Different.
Hey, here's the guns. Here's the guns you ordered. We didn't tell you that they're flintlock. Cartridges? What are cartridges? Are you talking about my sister? Stop that. That's how they got out of everything.
The British
There's a
got
subtle
out
use of deflection and flags. It's like Eddie Izzard. Do you have a flag?
Flag. Yeah.
No. But I guess you don't live here.
Yeah. Look, did they when they discovered us?
Hmm.
They also discovered trench warfare pretty fucking quick. And I'd like to say Europe, World War One and Two, that was cultural appropriation. Okay,
Hmm.
now you can hang on to the emotional hangover as long as you want, but you guys are racist for copying our warfare strategies.
You know, if that only worked retroactively, but they're like, I'm sorry, there's a time differential where we can talk about racism and you can't. Okay. And I honestly wish they sounded like that because then you wouldn't have to take them seriously. But if they didn't sound like this all the time, then no one would, it's like they get away with it. And they broadcast it and they brainwash people by saying that if you don't act like us, you're not in the in group. I mean, this is like the most mean girls nonsense I've ever seen on like a fucking global scale.
Do you
And
know what
people are buying into it
word
because they think they're
Māori
saving the
in
world.
Māori? The word Māori has a very interesting meaning within the Māori language.
Mm-hmm.
It means people because we're not a race, we're a composite of raiders who took over New Zealand and ate the indigenous population, then ate the British invaders. Now we're wearing rainbow flag tiki shirts and doing a victim dance. How the fuck did this happen?
Well, I mean, look at what happened recently. You guys had this one Maori group do the haka at a gay pride parade. Okay, because we don't have street pride parades. We don't even have culture pride parades that much anymore. You got what, Italian Day, a couple other ones in some cities, but it's just like you're shunned almost and pushed down upon just for espousing the identity that's indigenously yours, however you are. And I think that's what's pissed a lot of people off because us coloreds get caught in the crossfire. Because if we don't support whatever they say, we're Uncle Tom's. And I'm like, bro, like you never asked us our opinion. You haven't talked to us in 2 generations. You just assume you have the fucking vote. Uh-oh.
Has it happened?
No, I don't know. Cyclone might have got him.
Tristan is in the midst of Cyclone Alfred, currently fighting for his life. He has stepped away from his responsibilities to the trees to talk to us.
Yeah,
but we did.
he
Figure
might be
this
checking
one
on
out.
the trees right now.
Could be. Could be.
It's always difficult with him, especially this is like, okay, when we started trying to put this together as like a live stream or a podcast, half of the problems we had were because like the 12 goats that were powering the electricity outside like went out. Or, I mean, he was in like rural New Zealand, It's like, it was like trying to have a podcast with Roan Inish in Ireland, It was just like, I guess Roan's not at her island today,
It's like trying to do a Google Meet with someone in the past.
Seriously, it was awful, and then he's always talking about something in the past, wearing ethnic clothes not like mine.
We thought we were past this. He's had such reliable internet for so long.
He did, and then this all came up again.
As
This
soon
just
as we
kind of
go live,
sucks.
there's a cyclone.
Well, does anyone have a question? Is anyone even watching?
No.
Yeah.
No, we haven't had any viewers yet. That's okay.
Alas, well, we haven't done any advertising either.
No.
Maybe they'll find it.
That's all right. This is good to iron out all the kinks. I think it's.
I think it
well
is.
so far,
I think it's working pretty good.
So far, so good for sure.
Yep.
Um,
I'm enjoying it. So, anyways, how's everything going over there? We're talking about Zelensky. What are we going to talk about next?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to Tristan. Hopefully, he joins back in.
Seriously.
I was talking to Tristan. There's creatively some really interesting stuff going on around the sort of social media space, and some of it's driven by AI, but I think there's like like a increase in the distrust that people have with social media generally now on the back of that. And so that's driving these other sorts of avenues for creativity, which is interesting. I think people are kind of cracking the code a bit. The format is becoming a lot more clear, but ultimately it's just the format's becoming kind of people just selling to each other.
No, it's back to like what it was in the early days of social, where it was like every hot girl is like selling, freaking weight gainer or something like that. But it's now all specialized and niche market focused and micro targeted. Because of fucking micro influencers, it's crazy. But I'm telling you, like, people are abandoning. They're going back to dumb phones and things like that. Like, I think you got about 5 years in social before it hits a bust, because Generation B is not going to fuck with this stuff. I think they've seen what happened to like Gen Z and Gen A. Welcome back.
He's alive.
Cyclone buddy, how are you?
Tristan 1, Cyclone 0.
I'm fine. There was just a really juicy bush turkey.
Did you catch it?
Did you use my weapon?
Do you think a certified spear chucker like me would let it get away? The shops are closed. You're racist.
Dude, you have
find me less sexually attractive for eating pests.
Do you have it hanging outside like in James Clavell's Shogun?
Look, we can...
Plucking the feathers now as we speak. He's multitasking on the podcast. Oh no, what's happening?
He's like, I'm in the middle of a cyclone. I might need to eat something.
Okay.
Let me go kill a bush turkey.
I'm hungry, and there's homeless people here.
Wait, who are the homeless people?
What homeless people?
Didn't you say there were homeless
He
people
he rents them. He puts them outside.
There were homeless people.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Now they're his actors, allegedly.
Where were we?
He initially hired them as groupies, but then he didn't enjoy them so much, so they just follow him around with signs now.
They went from groupies to protesters.
What went from groupies to protesters? Are we talking about my diet?
No, we're talking about the actors you hired. I mean, the
the
homeless people that you employed. The weirdest part is they protest them about the wrong things because they always pick up the wrong signs from the printers. Like yesterday, they were protesting him about peri peri chicken. Like, I didn't even understand that one.
There's now random Nando's in like southeast Queensland advertising against Tristan Parker.
Because he sells Bushburn. Damn it, that local guy with his Bushburn. It's so tasty. What does he use? What's the secret seasoning? Oh my god, dude.
Anyway.
Any other geopolitical stuff we want to cover? This has been kind of awesome. I think this is one of our best ones so far.
Nah. I've still got a chance of living, so I'm not going to discuss all of this live.
What else the crypto summits this week at the White House. I know a bunch of people going. That's going to be interesting. We're going to get
Speaking
policy
of the
finally.
White House, Oz, how was your visit to the White House?
Kind of epic.
How white is it, and how many drinking fountains are there?
I didn't see
How are
any
they
drinking fountains. I
categorized?
think they took them out, but I think
Oh,
they're also in like the main tour area. We were in like the press wing. I guess not the press wing. We're in it was the not the west wing, but it's like a part where they just have entertainment and receptions, and he comes out and there's a big stage. Um, it was huge. It was gorgeous. I mean, I would say that the architecture was reminiscent of Versailles. Uh, Exquisitely decorated, like very 16th to 18th century. A lot of blue, and you like walk in through all this security, and then you go through TSA once, and then you go through TSA again, and then you go through TSA a third time, and then you go through one of those backscatter body scanners, but it's like an even newer one where like it's just two sides, and I mean, you just have to make sure you remove all the metal. That's it. Um, I don't know how healthy it is. And then you come around and you go up, and there's people greeting you. I got some pictures pointing out like big "Welcome to the White House" sign. You go through a couple other things, and then you end up in this big room, reception room, and there's a baby grand, and there's a Marine band playing, and then you walk into like this main reception area, and there's like hundreds of people in there. Like he invited a good cross section of Black America, and people who represent Black America. And then there's two more reception rooms. There's a bunch of closed off stuff. I ran into Lynn Patton, who I worked with on 16. She's doing like all the minority outreach. And then they had food. And then there's this huge room in the end that fit standing maybe about 700-800 people. It's press everywhere. And I ended up in a screenshot because I was in the video on Fox, so it was pretty sweet. But the speech was really good. I think he spoke to the ethos of Black America and minority America, and where we're going, and what we need to fix, and what we need to change. And the food was pretty freaking good. I actually have pictures of the table. I just have been debating, do I want to post White House food or not, because no one really does that, but it's delicious.
did Trump get McDonald's again?
No, he had, what were there? There were grilled lamb chops, salmon on little pancakes shaped like madeleines. Uh, there were some like pork spare rib type things that I didn't touch. He had a bunch of salads, roasted potatoes, roasted vegetables. There's all these little stations, and then like a ton of little desserts. It was very like Alice in Wonderland, but kind of Melania's sort of like emphasis you could see. So it was very sort of like Eastern European pastry style, which was really nice. Um, no, it was really kind of lovely. It was awesome, and I ran into so many new people there. You had tons, basically like every freaking political influencer, every big politico, every elected member of Congress. It was black. It was awesome. It was really awesome. I met a bunch of people, shook hands with a few people. Whereas it's just like people that you've read about. And, no, I just really enjoyed it, and I'm angling to do some advisory. We'll see what happens. I've got a bunch of friends that went into the administration. Um, I like what they're doing. Clinton cut 337 jobs. He's really pulling things back from this built-up bureaucracy of I was just government spend for kind of theoretical ideas. But when you start making them policy and you start making them part of the public good, and that's not what people really believe, you know.
Yeah,
Um, the pendulum needs to swing back, and it did.
yeah. These kind of things happen when you let women vote. I'm kidding. Yeah,
Oz, how would
um,
you rate your experience out of 10, and would you go back?
Probably an 8 out of 10, and I definitely go back. I think seated dinner would be amazing. Just kind of gauging from the food quality.
Would you recommend the White House to a friend?
For dinner, or just as a casual place to meet colleagues, or a place to take a tour.
Probably all of those.
A place for me to get past security.
Well, you have to be checked. I mean, with the exception of the tours, you have to be backgrounded like for 3 days. So you're either cleared or you're not cleared to go in.
If you're cleared, are you just
What would you
allowed
guys
in?
bet?
If you're invited, or if you have a pass, if you have a reason to be there, you can't just like go in and be like, "Yo, dude, I want that burger again. That was banging." You can't just do that. Um, but no, I'm hoping to be involved with some policies, and we'll see what happens.
That's awesome.
Cool.
That's awesome. Are you able to disclose any of them?
Nope.
That's awesome. That's even more awesome.
If it happens, then you'll hear about it.
Awesome. So everyone vote yes on recreational fracking. The people have a right to choose.
Sir, what are you doing in this doggy park? Shh. What is that? I'm like, it's a high pressure water injector. Leave me alone.
Well, any of the policies.
As an indigenous person, look, it's my land, it's my choice.
Have you guys seen how RFK Jr. all of his policies are like, because he had the worm in his brain. I saw a comedian do a bit, and he's like, all of his policies are like worm policies, because they're all like, we need to get rid of pesticides from our crops, right? That's
he's
a worm
right
policy,
about all
right?
of it, like the coloring that you have in products.
Incredible about it. You know what's really incredible about it? As much as the left can poke fun at the dude, he's the better environmentalist with brain worms. He doesn't exactly make a point for you guys. Like, I'd say like more brain worms is look, there's a positive correlation. You can't prove causation yet, but like if you uninstall TikTok and you install worms, you get a superior thinker.
But this
with a superior physique.
This guy,
did you see his confirmation?
Everything he talks about is like a worm policy. And he came out with one the other day. I saw.
It's easy to say that as a guy that doesn't bench press.
Well,
he's getting rid of petroleum dyes and products.
But
he's getting rid of seed oils. You've got restaurants that are going back to frying in tallow.
But he did one.
I mean, the vegans are going to kind of hate some of this shit, but they're going to have trouble getting French fries for a while. But...
He said he wanted to. He was like anti-bird flu.
One at a time.
RFK Jr. said he was anti-bird flu vaccine, so that there's more bird flu. Isn't that exactly what a worm would want?
I mean, it's because it's an mRNA vaccine, and there's a whole bunch of efficacy issues with it, and it wasn't tested properly.
I don't know anything about that. All I know is that if you were a worm, you want less birds. You want the bird flu getting around, right?
That's true. It'll bring the birds down to the level where you can.
You don't, because you don't care about soil quality, and you don't understand what role guano played before you guys all just got obese on factory ammonia-based foods. So,
well, it also doesn't really affect arable land that much.
I didn't know guano played a role. Who is guano?
Guano played a role in a lot of places.
Was he in like a movie?
Huh? No, not the monster. I'm talking about the poop fertilizer that has all the nitrogen in it. That's bad shit.
Yeah, the thing that held the economy together before ammonia, the thing the left refused.
Well, the only other thing that you can use is chicken shit, except it's so acidic it's going to burn the ground. And then you're going to have to fucking lime the shit out of it in order to kind of get it to like some sort of alkali state, but it does put nitrogen back in.
Yeah, so something worms understand and unconscriptable lefties don't is that sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself to protect your land.
So, my Maori, my land.
It was a shit joke.
It was a totally shit joke. You really needed to go back to my land, my body, or something like that.
No,
the guano one was a shit joke.
That one was a pun. Yeah.
Literally a
shit joke. For those
I mean, at this point, he might as well be making One Piece jokes.
No. No. No.
Hey, I'm not the one that looks like a pirate and just needs a little bowl hat.
Look, there's two kinds of autistic Maoris. There's gamers that watch One Piece, and there's self-defense maneuver enthusiast Dragon Ball Z watchers. Now, which
Yeah,
one
okay.
do you think I
You
am?
are the latter. You are the latter. And every Dragon Ball, there's no knocks on that one. I just got to tell you, man, the amount of people that like watch One Piece and they're like, it's like the people that got into Seinfeld or Friends too much. Like it was like their or
Yes.
like The Office. It's like their ethos,
Yeah, just higher on the autistic spectrum.
It's just it's too much
Where does-
sometimes.
where
It's
does
a cool
RuneScape
show.
come into this?
It's good.
RuneScape is in the Goldilocks zone, I believe.
Is it
Yeah.
like the middle of the Venn diagram?
It's kind of in the middle of the Venn diagram.
Cool.
Yeah.
Then you got like the Fortniters, and then the cool, you got Halo people are pretty good, and but yeah, it just depends on that diagram, man, because they can get a little bit too extra.
Is this what Deloitte is doing? Like figuring this stuff out?
No,
with their
it's
Venn
way
diagram?
higher purity. I'm kidding.
Actually, the people who are doing that is I have it somewhere around here. Search for this thing called the Brand Asset Valuator, and there was this agency that's got 30 years worth of research into it, and they've been doing analysis on like your little micro groups of people. And I mean, I'm telling you, micro consumption's where it's at. You're like, okay, we have 8 million people that buy this kind of rando shit, but if you can target market to them, they all have disposable income. That's the shift that you've had with like kind of big pulls in industry and kind of like tech jobs laying off and this and that. Women are in industries that are more resilient to this, like healthcare and a variety of other things. Like they're not going to get cut as much. Whereas men, shit, like fucking these tariffs could shut some construction down for a while. It could shut a bunch of other stuff down for a while. I mean, plumbers are always going to have work. So lucky you don't really need to worry there too much.
Good.
But
Yeah.
Is that a shit joke?
yeah, it's a total shit joke.
Awesome.
I was like, I'm talking too much. I'm gonna fucking like end this with a shit joke.
Now, Lockie, why don't you tell everyone what you were doing with the peanut butter and the vacuum cleaner?
But before that, Tristan, I have one question. Did you go outside and try and tell the cyclone to stop?
It listened.
Did you consent to the cyclone's behavior?
It consented to my commands.
Is it kind of the same as the vacuum cleaner consenting to the peanut butter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But was it with a dog or a kangaroo? That's what I'm missing here. What's the punchline?
That's what we can't tell you. But
What is this ancient Australian secret?
Look, it depends on whether or not you can fit in the pouch.
I can.
That's why he calls you Joey. Shit joke. Such a shit joke.
Every Australian male's nickname is Joey. I don't know if you knew that.
It's where I'm going to put Zelensky if he doesn't stop triggering my bully.
You know what I'm really surprised about this whole thing with the Democrats, though? Why Zelensky workout outfits haven't taken off.
Oh, because they only come in gnome size.
They only come in small.
Yeah, no, it's like the Democrats need like an extra gnome to fit in it, and China's refusing to produce that.
I put an
They
image.
said no, we keep those in our factories.
Well, the problem was China thought his name was Bai then.
Oh. Oh. What's Biden?
Hey, I have a question. Is that a trophy from a hoe on your wall?
No comment. tell you what, half my wardrobe might be.
What's the other half?
Overalls.
The other
Oh,
half?
might be hose, but you walk around with random women draped over you.
No, the other half is the emperor's clothes.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you dress like Kanye's wife, Bianca Censori?
Yeah.
You're the one who took his clothes?
Look,
No, I just made sure everything was sheer when it came back from the dry cleaners.
look. I used to be a big fan of Kanye until I heard his music. That shit was disappointing. That shit was really disappointing. I was like, oh, where are the fucking Wagnerian tubers, my dude?
Brilliant.
I mean, I got to tell you, like, his latest foray, I was like, you want people to buy swastika T-shirts, just don't really see it. Not happening. Like, I honestly think he doesn't really get it. I think he lives in his own world where he's concocted his own vision of reality based upon his perception of things, and he thinks other people are going to come along for the ride.
I mean, they did with the Yeezys. That was fucked up.
Well, that's because they were cool shoes and they were engineered.
Look, they got him too. How many pairs do you own, Oz? Be honest.
Zero.
Ah.
I don't wear tennis shoes. I wear boots or combat boots or boots. Or I mean, I wear free runners and then I wear like driving shoes. That's about it.
Are the combat boots because you frequently engage in combat or just in case?
Mostly because, like, running around in Harlem and doing some of the stuff I do, which was everything from like being involved in politics to gang interventions to throwing barbecues and stuff like that. Like, you might have to stomp a motherfucker out, or someone's going to drop some shit on you, and they're very practical. They also make you look like a Black Panther, which is really hysterical.
Cool. I've heard.
I didn't really realize that until like well into it when someone came to me and thought it was a Black Panther, and I was like, well, the GOP did have Black Panthers, but not right now. But thank you for your application.
Wow.
Man, inner city like Republican politics is some just stupid infighting, a whole bunch of other like I gotta tell you, like, I'm happy in a way. I'm like going to emeritus and I'm installing like a new chairman, but it's gonna be interesting because I still do a lot of stuff up there, and we're trying to figure out if we can get some food programs and some other things in the next year. A lot of that kind of like crashed under COVID because it's like everything we got started, it just halted, and then I got cancer, so everything halted. But we'll see. I'm trying to start some stuff up in Philly and then take it from there.
What are you up to in Philly?
So we're helping with Flip Philly Red, and I'm gonna probably be running for township commissioner right outside of Philly. And then I don't know, it's just kind of a test run here because what we did up in Harlem was a test run. But like, look, if you're in a place that's 96% Democrat, you can pull almost 20% composite, right? And that's barely spending any money, just really kind of engaging with the community. Then there's an opportunity, a chance to do this with significant investment into it. And I just think you need to be running a local platform in addition to a national platform. And that needs to be a local Republican platform that reflects what's needed locally, like, fixing prison reform in terms of like fixing recidivism, right? Making sure people don't go back and reoffend, making sure that there's job force development, friendly Bitcoin policy, and then, fixing the problems in like the child payment system under family courts, because oftentimes these men are paying all these fees and fines and this and that. The money's not going to the kids, it's going to the state. And if you can clean a lot of that stuff up, people can live better. Huh?
I thought it was going to the nail salon.
I mean, not all men go to nail salons, but I mean, I know a handful that do.
So all single mothers. Sorry, I fucked up. Yeah, it's no, sorry. Honestly, I shouldn't joke while you're talking about stuff that's.
I mean, it's serious shit, but you know what? Everyone jokes about it because we have Democratic leadership that doesn't take any of this seriously. Everyone thinks that you get your barbecue, your backpack, and your fucking handout, that buys a couple of packs of cigarettes once a year, and that's all they do for you.
Like, no, I couldn't agree more. Like, I tried to joke about it, but then, like, the fact that you're addressing recidivism, as well as these kind of payment systems, like.
Look, we've been trying to bring crypto.
This is like, once again, like, fuck you, Oz. I'm impressed.
Just trying to make a change, bro. Just tired of this shit.
I know, and like, when it comes to the recidivism in jails, one thing that is absurd to me is it's well understood that certain diets increase violence in prisons. And
I'm 100% with you. It's all this petroleum diets that he's trying to get out.
How in the fuck are people not in jail, knowing these studies exist, knowing that there is profit to be made?
You really want to know why? Because when we had this huge population explosion and we didn't have good food distribution systems and we couldn't ensure shelf lives and things, we went to mass-produced food, which was all processed, right? Yes. And then they started making the shit addictive, and then they wanted to increase profitability on it, so they used petroleum colors and everything. And if you noticed, everything all the way down to Doritos has bright colors and too many umami flavors. It's all engineered food. And the worst part of it is it's mostly in the hood. And they're talking about removing this from EBT. And I got to tell you, it's a stupid fucking idea just yet. You got to transition it. Because they're like, oh, well, people will bring other things in. I'm like, there's nothing that's affordable. All the healthy chips are like $2.69 a bag. You're talking to a welfare mom trying to get her kid to school and feed him something in the morning, and they're not in a latchkey program, and it's like a bag of chips and a soda. And that's all that they can afford because that's all that's really available. Fucking bottled water's double the price of a soda. It's like fucking Europe.
Yeah, this is absolutely parallel to the way it works in New Zealand. Like, there's a really clear indicator of there being like two social and financial castes over there, where like food is quite expensive if you want to eat properly. However, if you want to eat white bread, 99-cent soda, like, yeah.
But you got to remember something, okay? We groomed several generations on this because it was cheap, and then we took the iodine out of the bread in the 80s and we put potassium bromate in, and that's fucking killing people.
Can you explain that?
All right, so you don't get enough iodine in your diet. So up until the 80s, your bread was enriched with iodine, and that gives you a bunch of trace minerals, and that prevents a whole bunch of disease and stuff. But what happened was in the 80s, a bunch of lobbyists came in and put potassium bromate into the bread. Okay, so it's bromated, it's bad for you, and it's horrible bread, but it's in probably 2/3 of the bread that's out there, unless you go to like fucking Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, or your little artisanal boulangerie and bakery around the corner. It's all crap. Why? Because there's so much of a fucking demand, and because we sold the entirety of the industry on stripped grain flour, right? We didn't sell people on fucking whole wheat bread. We sold them on bread that's white bread. And outside of Dave's Killer and a couple other brands, you haven't really gotten, the pendulum hasn't swung back yet, because you're going to have to adjust tastes, and then you're also going to have to like produce that. Like, you're going to have to shift the consumption and production base. So there's huge logistical concerns inside of this that people aren't really thinking about. But this isn't how things always work. I mean, I'm hoping to be able to advise at least a little bit on what's going on, but the inner cities and how we can fix them, and how you can provide nutrition, what needs to be done to fix education and incentivization and getting these kids jobs and training. But if it isn't something that touches on a little bit of all of those things, the policies are so uni-sided that they don't really address the core crux of the problem, which is it's systemic. And if you don't solve it like a cancer, you're only going to get a part of the way there. But at least right now with Kennedy, we're going to get a little bit of the way there. Now, if we can integrate these things over the course of time, we'll be on par with China, because China has, at least if you have money, and let's assume this is for everyone, decent education.
Not laced with fentanyl?
Huh? No, they send that to us. That's like their largest export.
Yeah, that explains Michigan.
Largely to Philadelphia. It's like cheesesteaks and Chinese fentanyl. That's what we got. And a mayor that spells Eagles Esgles.
What?
That happened.
It was Esgles or Egles, and like fucking
So
that
he
dude.
participated in the civil riots, the very calm celebration of a win. Like, sorry, why does that city destroy itself when it wins at football?
Because it's fucking Philly.
At least my people only do domestic violence when they lose at rugby to Australia.
Look, what people say about
Luckily,
New
it doesn't
Yorkers
happen
being
that often.
rough is what people say about New Yorkers being rough is really true about Philly.
Yeah, no, I know. Like, it's serious.
I mean, they take their football seriously here.
It's just rough.
They take their football real seriously here. I grew up with the Steelers, and I mean, I tend to be an Eagles fan if the Steelers aren't playing. And I got to tell you, I may just become an Eagles fan because if the Steelers don't get their shit together, you've been rebuilding for 7 years. What the fuck is going on here? Haven't had a Super Bowl in a hot minute, and I really don't even understand what's going on. We bought a new line coach. What's our head coach doing? Really, what's Tomlin doing? When you look at the Eagles, I mean, they've got really good synergy in their coaching staff, and they've got really, really strong line. They've got a fucking phenomenal receiving end. I mean, Saquon is crushing this shit. Okay, like just in fucking earned yards over the season, and I mean, they're meticulous, and this is just the problem with like being in a state with like two really good football teams.
You got to stop. If he gets too excited, he'll start smashing his room. Sorry, I actually want to hear this.
He's going to get so angry, he's going to get his bicycle and leave.
Wait, that's my bicycle. Sorry.
You stay there with your hoe. Who's your decorator? Christina on the Coast. I mean, it is like so farmhouse style, Like you importing people from California now?
Unfortunately, yes. I would send them back if I could. However, they're indistinguishable from the hippie population of Byron Bay now.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, they've got the same scent, but no, there's a slight difference. The Americans shave their armpits the females, if they think there's a chance of seeing a Hemsworth. That's the only way you can tell the difference between them and a local.
That's hysterical.
But they're both wearing a variation of a potato sack that costs $300.
Yeah, I mean, they look like literally like potato sack dresses, and it's insane. And why does everyone have a small dog? Don't women understand that the reason men don't necessarily want a woman with a small dog isn't because of the small dog? It's because we're fucking afraid we'll step on it.
No, I'm hoping it looks accidental when I step on it. Personally,
if you step on it, it's like $10,000. It's like fucking, driving an EV or driving a Ferrari. I mean, it's just
Look, if
anything
it
that
costs
goes wrong.
$10,000 to shut them the fuck up, that's what I'll pay.
Oh, they're cute and all, but it's just they're not practical.
No.
Plus, a dog is supposed to bite things for you. Like,
Well,
I've been attacked. Go and bite that.
imagine being an Australian woman who can't own a gun and not getting a Belgian Malinois.
Well, Belgian Malinois need a lot of room to run, bro. They go crazy if they don't. And then here's what people are doing now. Oh my God, I got an Australian Shepherd dog and I live in the Bronx. But the dog is sad because it can't run. So I'm going to put it on Prozac.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but if you need to give psych meds to a smooth brain, you should pick yourself as a smooth brain for the psych meds before your dog. I can't comprehend this stuff.
I know a girl with a dog that she put on anti-anxiety meds, and
Yeah, dog balance thing.
the vet prescribed the same anti-anxiety meds that the owner was prescribed by her doctor.
Yep.
So her
Yep.
and the dog were taking the same medication for anxiety. I'm like, it's you, man. It's you. It's not the dog. It's you are.
Okay,
You
can I just tell you something really real here? So, Michael Vick used to fight dogs. Michael Vick, who was the football player who got defrocked. Yeah. Well, we're growing up and outside of Pittsburgh in West Virginia, not really that far in. I mean, just when you go out into the hills, I had a lot of friends out there.
Look, fighting
there were people but listen to this. There were people that used to fight dogs. Well, you know what they do is they give them a little gunpowder in their meat because it irritates the stomach lining and it makes them violent. Well, here's the thing I found out about Prozac.
Dairy does the same thing.
No, hold on. Listen to this. Prozac kills your probiotics and it makes your stomach upset. So I'm really wondering if you have a similar affect on women and dogs that are on this shit. Because it doesn't make people happy. It makes people upset.
That'd fucking explain a lot, mate. I can that answers a few questions if that's true.
No, because all these dogs on Prozac are still kind of violent. And I'm wondering if it does it to the owners too, because it's just these drugs aren't really good for you. Half of what they're finding out now is that your depressions and other things are nutritional issues, right? Now, some people, I'm not knocking it, okay? I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not going to tell you what to do with yourself, and I'm not judging you. But I am telling you that I have firsthand seen with family members the effects of some of these drugs, and like ruining the stomach is one of them. And you just got to wonder is like, if your stomach's fucked up all the time, you're going to be ornery. Yeah. We just got a whole bunch of ornery people out there, especially like with their ideologies and stuff. You don't hear me talking shit about my religion or, pushing GOP values on people. You want to know something? Come fucking talk to me. I'll tell you. If I'm campaigning, you're going to hear something. But if I'm not campaigning and not running for office, well, you ain't going to hear shit, But I might wear a hat or something. But like, we don't have that much of a difference from Democrats outside of viewpoints and a number of political issues and like what we consider important. But we don't appreciate being fully discounted because you think those things are important and the only issues that matter, and our issues don't matter. And that's what and especially as a minority, I mean, sometimes it just gets outright goddamn offensive the way they are and the way they approach things. And, just talking down to you, calling you Uncle Tom, telling you, what kind of sand nigger does this shit. I mean, I've heard it all. And it is 90% from liberal women. And you know why we kind of appreciate when we're like conservatives are racist? You're going to hear it. You'll know. You'll absolutely fucking know. And you can break that down. Sometimes I've had conversations with motherfuckers, but you also have to understand that's where this male energy, female energy thing kind of vibes differently. Like, I've fucking butted heads with some fucking rednecks. Oh, shit. I got to take care of something very big.
He's about to butt heads with one right now.
Yeah. That's the alarm going off.
That sounds like a healthy battery in his smoke alarm. How did he get invited to Black History Month? Wow. Who said that?
Oh boy. How is everything at your end? Has the wind kicked off yet?
It's intensifying.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, I still have glass. Soon I won't.
Excellent. Well, excellent. You have glass. Not excellent that you won't. Have you taped the glass?
Tapes the glass.
Because if you tape it, it'll rather than like shatter into a million
Sorry, that was
pieces, it'll stay together.
Lockie, you're a pussy. Okay? Like, you don't need windows. So,
you don't need windows. You can live in bunker. Be beautiful like Maori people. I make this entire wall myself.
yeah. And carved it
My
too.
dad made this wall. This is the wrong accent
You
altogether.
don't need a written language, dude. Like, all it does is get you locked up more often.
Actually, all the evidence suggests that you're right.
What is the evidence? Well, we have the only academic, well, the only written contributions to literature by Maori, and it's the lyrics to German by No Money Enterprise. Maoris got involved in drill music, so they won. It's really, really bad for public safety. Can I, Oz, next time you're in the White House for Black History Month, can you please ask them to stop?
That would be next year.
Ask them to please stop exporting drill music to people. Okay, look, we won. Okay, like we only lost to fried food, alcohol, and instant finance. We did not, in fact, lose to the white man. This is a completely unacceptable export, Oz. Get your people in line, okay?
Well, I'm kind of thinking in that case you lost to the Brit man and the Dutch man.
No, we lost to the Diddy man.
Oh, God. Fat motherfucker.
Which is
and by the way,
the only thing Maoris share in common with Justin Bieber. Wow.
Is Diddy?
Yeah, losing to Diddy is the only thing that Maoris have in common with Justin Bieber.
So there's the Venn diagram again, right? Deloitte
I know. I heard when you lose the Diddy, baby oil's involved. It's horrible.
Oh, dude.
Arguably,
that shit's slippery.
Gentlemen, we've been running for well over an hour now. Arguably, that's a good place to.
But we're going
All
to
right,
have
closing comments.
Arguments.
One, did you guys know that Osama bin Laden's lawyer refused Diddy as a client?
Mm-hmm.
Like on ethical grounds?
Are you serious? That's hysterical. But you know, his own attorney recused himself. He was like, bro, I can't. Sorry. Nope.
I haven't seen anything like, no, the only thing even in the league of that horrible is the video of someone pushing a large cart with the paper stacked evidence in R. Kelly's trial.
Oh, God.
Oz, closing arguments.
Closing arguments. Join us again next week or the week after, however we frequently can do this. Pray for our friend who's in the cyclone. And I don't know, I think we're off to an interesting start to a presidency that's definitely going to punctuate the entire world geopolitically and change the way we look at things. I just ask people to, try and get to know each other again because this has just gotten silly. Yeah, we don't necessarily see eye to eye on issues, but we don't see eye to eye on religion, a bunch of other stuff. And what we really enjoyed, honestly, as people within each of our own countries, was however we were all dicks together, we were dicks together. So maybe we'll figure that one out.
Yeah, like we should help each other have shelter, food, and call each other names, okay? Like, it's a lot easier than war, but yeah, just stop listening to Zelensky. It's hypocritical of a man who got elected the same way Hitler did.
Well said. Well said. my closing argument is going to be that if anyone needs any unlicensed plumbing work done, please email Plumbers Anonymous at Wizen and Ozpod. I am willing to work at a discounted rate, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
I'll
Thanks, guys.
provide you with equipment. See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.